Okay. What does it say? Do I have to go in here and okay, so is the recording button still showing on your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, just a couple of spoiler alerts or disclaimers. I will be shaking your core belief systems and paradigms. Also, I'm not going to be able to read the chat. Okay, so we take question and answers at the end because I'd like you guys to listen to the whole thing and have all the bells triggered and alarms going off, and then we'll address the questions. Is that okay with you all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Agreed.
just one question. Do you get to see the whole screen, and where is the panel of speakers?
On
You
my
can talk to
screen,
me. Yeah.
there's 4 or 5 people on the right side of the screen,
So
vertically.
it's not, my idea is it shouldn't be covering up the content. I mean, is there any way I don't want you to put
It's
it on the
fine,
top
Malini.
and the bottom. Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I can see the whole screen here, and I've already closed out everybody's pictures, so I see the whole, all the
How do you do
slides.
that?
I went into participants,
Okay.
and then that showed all the participants, and then at the top there are these little signs, and the one that looks just like a dash is the one I closed. And
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. That's great because it covers up the things.
exactly.
Okay. So we are ready to roll. And how many? We are 13 of us in the room. So is that okay? So can I start?
Let's rock and roll.
Yes, ready to roll in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this deep dive session at the Chat People's Forum. And thank you, Stanley, for putting it all together and being there for us. I'd like to present to you a point of view because it is important and it is urgent. It is shifting the energy of the planet and the need to activate humanity's divine heart energy. So all of us start with these 3 questions. This is where the spiritual journey starts. Can I have some people, everybody go off mute because I'm getting an echo out here.
I'm okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody. You might have to unmute yourself.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, I'm muting everybody, and now you unmute yourself.
Okay, great. So all of us ask this question: who am I? Where have I come from? And why am I here? This is unfortunately made into a spiritual quest, which it is not. It's a very basic fundamental question that everyone asks, but is scared of making it vocal and public. And also it's a question that for some odd reason in our education systems, we don't help people address. And as one of our presenters, Rainer, mentioned that half the pain and anger and sorrow in the world is because these are questions that keep getting pushed to the background, and we don't help one another find answers. So all of us, all of you have had a surreal life. It's not something that only the select few have, the spiritually awakened have. Every one of us has a surreal life. And I'd like you to look at this image, which is probably the Star of David. I'll talk more of this, which is this image, funnily enough, is common to all religions across the globe. Every religion has this image in its symbolism. But as an individual and as what your life has been till now, there have been people in your life who have changed or created paradigms that you need to deal with, or who have guided and directed you. There are places in your life, and Leslie's life story is very classic about places which have changed her, the path of her life, or shown her new directions. There are books, and I have always found books come literally physically come and hit me, with books which have changed my way of thinking, books which are important to all of us. Some books are there to help bring reason into our lives, and some books are there to give us a different point of view, but they are directions that have added to a surreal life existence. There have been teachers. Some of the teachers you have wanted may have been denied to you, which has been my case more often than not. And I have realized in the wisdom of the infinite creative process that those teachers were not meant for me, or those teachers were not the teachers I should have been going to. And funnily enough, I've always had teachers turn up. Every one of you have had teachers turn up. Teachers have been animals, teachers have been plants, teachers have been all kinds of things, and some of them have been formal teachers, as you know, we know them as gurus. And all of us have in our lives been given skills and talents at different stages in our lives. And what you need to understand is every skill and talent you have has been given to you for a reason, to fulfill your destiny and your life's purpose. Unfortunately, skills and talents have been equated with, am I going to get this job? Do I need this training to go up, climb up the career ladder, or is this going to be of value? In fact, I've been often asked by my family, why are you doing this course? Is it going to get you an increment in your job? Are you going to get a better promotion? It's not about that. Skills and talents are there for us to fulfill our life's path and our life's mission. And then we have events, and events that have been life changing for a lot of us have been health, have been the loss of a loved one, have been good things that have happened out of the blue, have been calamities that have happened. But every one of these six ingredients that lead to a surreal life is what makes us what we are, and has brought each one of us to this point of being together. So who are you? Every one of us, every human being is fundamentally a scientist, because we are seeking answers and we are seeking meaning to those answers that we get. Every one of us is also a detective, because although we don't accept it, because it's many of us have been beaten into being silent or not voicing our concerns, constantly question the evidence that is given to us, or that what is presented to us as, and this particularly comes when you are dealing with religious belief or established social belief, where you are somehow browbeaten or conditioned not to question the evidence that is put in front of you. And we are also people who are full of curiosity. It's not the purview of the select few. Every individual has got curiosity. They may not own to it, but we are hunting for linkages and connections and to connect the dots. So to evolve and to discover the truth, you need to question everything all the time. And you need to start connecting the dots. It is a challenge, because very often we are sifting through facts, and facts can be highly questionable. We are shifting through opinions. We are sifting through opinionated facts, and we are sifting through narratives. And I'd like to particularly talk about narratives, because the question we need to ask when a narrative is given to us, who benefits? What's the covert agenda of the narratives? Just a minute, please. Karthik, don't go. So the challenge you will face is also in keeping your personal upbringing and your social conditioning out of the equation. Peer pressures, which includes the popularity syndrome, where if someone is very popular, which I call the shiny object syndrome. And this comes with most of the global gurus who are floating around giving their theories and their points of view. We tend to accept it. And we have to learn to put that peer pressure aside and ask the questions. Also, we have to learn to keep our emotions in perspective. And very often these may or may not be emotions from past experiences. The current narrative that is being talked about when you talk about transgenerational trauma and this and that is, oh, you have past experience, therefore your emotions are getting in the way. I'm not saying that's not the case. What I'm saying is you need to put that on the back burner for a bit, because you need to be able to connect the dots from what I would call a blank slate. And as for me, I'm like all of you, but I also have learned over the years not to discredit or disbelieve any theory or any point of view, no matter how bizarre it may be to current established mindsets. And the operative word here is current established mindsets, because mindsets and the establishments will change from time to time, and we will be asked to or forced to or driven to look at problems and situations from a different perspective. So I'd like to end this segment with Max Planck's quote that a scientific truth does not triumph by convincing opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. So let's begin by shaking it up and becoming that new generation. And my apologies if I'm going to make you rethink and make what you already know as the established norm or the truth as something different. Okay, this is something all of us have been exposed to or taught, that, you know, you have the outer body, you have the external mind, then you have the internal mind, and you have the soul. And when you're given the chakras, you're again given this hierarchical linear representation of how the chakras are and the energy fields in the body are. I want you to change your point of view for a minute. Suppose you were to look at this very same diagram from the top. You would realize the soul is at the inner core. Your internal mind is at the next layer, in the external mind, and the body is the outer layer. This completely changes your approach to understanding in the way you look at the body, mind, soul construct. And again, with the chakras, if you looked at it this way, you would realize basically it's moving from inward outward and moving from outward inward. I'll go into this in a little bit more detail. So I'd like to come to the DNA, which is one of the fundamental elements in us. And when you look at the DNA from here, this is what we are all familiar with. This is what we see. But when you look at the DNA from above, this is what has been captured by various cameras. This is not just one perspective. What has happened is they've allowed the DNA to rotate. And as it goes through different angles, they've time-lagged photographed it. And when they overlaid all the images, this was the image that actually came forth. So all that you are familiar with and all that you have been taught is the 3D construct, which is what the chakras are. The chakras are an explanation of the 3D construct that in this 3D paradigm that we are in. So the chakra system is linear, it's electrical and biochemical. Because it's electrical, it's biochemical. All biochemical reactions are fundamentally electrical reactions, because the moment you talk about electron transfer that drives a chemical reaction, it is an electrical function. And the 3D construct functions from the mind and relies on the mind the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, and the central nervous system. So what you've often heard of as the Ida, the Pingla, and the Sushumna in the body in some of the ancient traditional Eastern scripts is basically they are talking about these three systems. And the 3D construct needs mind control and relies on mind control and uses mind control, which is why there has been such an explosion of people talking about, manifesting from the mind, creating from the mind, and working from the mind, and all that. So what you need to understand is it's the mind, and you need to move away from it. The why we will come to. Also, whenever you are working in a 3D construct, which is linear, which is electrical, which uses the mind, the amount of effort required is enormous. It also sometimes uses external devices, like you use, all these these are all external devices that are used. And I've gone through this intensive Kriya Yoga training, which focuses on this. And I got into a lot of trouble because we'll come to that. The effort required, sometimes you hear people say 108 times, it takes 80 years for people to master this system. And you have to be an expert. You have to spend 10 hours a day and a whole lot of stuff, too much of effort if you ask me. And it relies on your belief system. The foundation is a belief system narrative has been created, and the entire construct of the 3D, which is this linear construct on the chakras, relies on the belief system. There's also a very low success rate, and this is what got me into a lot of trouble with my guru, because my question was, from a scientific perspective, if a formula is right, if it is worked correctly, and if it is applied correctly, everyone who applies that formula should get the same end result. Then why is it there is only out of 500 million people doing this work, only 1 or 2 ascended masters? There's either something wrong with the system or the system is not being taught properly. That got me into real hot water, because it was a question that needed to be asked. Because if a system is correct, then anyone and everyone who enters into it should be able to achieve that level of success. Also, it's an incomplete and inaccurate system, and I'll explain to you about this as we go down. But my question was also, who started this thing? Because when I went through all our literature, nowhere, even in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, are the chakras talked about. The Patanjali Yoga Sutra only appreciates the electrochemical and the linear function that is required for an electrical operation, and it talks about activating various organs from an electrical perspective. I didn't see any of this chakra business going on in any of the scriptures. And then I dived, and I found the first mention was in 1880. Then 1990 was John Woodruff's book, and then 1927. And funnily enough, we are lazy. The moment we find something that is easy, we copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And now there are 300 million people talking about chakras. There are more than 100 million websites that all have chakras, chakras, chakras. You just do a Google search of chakras and it will take you 37 pages of Google searches. And it's just copy paste. And some of those copy pasting haven't even done a spell check on the errors that are there in the earlier document. But you need to understand this is not wrong. It is a perspective. It's not the path. It's not the path that's going to work from now on. It's also a narrative that has been promoted and created with the specific objective of having mind control. Because as long as a large number of the population is in the mind, they're going to be easy to control through AI, through TI, through media, through narratives. You can control the mind. And that is why even in the name of consciousness, the objective is to keep people in this controlled space. Okay, but nothing in this universe is linear. This is the cosmos, full of many, many galaxies. It's not linear. This is the Milky Way system, and here we are, a small little solar system, all the way up here. It's not linear. The planetary system is not a straight line. It's not linear. It's spherical. It's three-dimensional. Our cellular structure, and you know, this is actually a replication of, if you can look at this as a highly stylized version of the solar system, this is also not linear. And then you come to our magnetic fields, the fields of the body. We are a toroidal field. We are not linear. And this has to be understood and appreciated. So let's look at a point of view. If this is the electromagnetic field of the heart and the human body, viewed at from this perspective, let me just present another point of view to you. Does this image look familiar? The Vesica Piscis, the flower of life, the tree of life. It's just the same thing from a different point of view. And then what happens is this gets looked at as the ultimate design. This is a point of view of a design which is not linear. So neither are we. The DNA in our body is basically a tesseract. And one of the reasons why sacred geometry needs to be understood from this perspective is that sacred geometry is one linear explanation to creation. We need to connect the dots and put it all together. So this is the tesseract in 4D. And basically the DNA helix is a rolling tesseract which has been created with scalar waves and scalar energy. And if you look at the molecular structure of the famous Watson and Crick model and put it into a geometric, sacred geometry or platonic solid way of looking at it, this is how it connects. And this is now a proposed three-dimensional image. Technology, microscopy, everything has evolved over a period of time, and we can get into this. But there is already so much of research and work done by mathematicians who have come up with this explanation and this formula. And that's a whole different subject for a completely another deep dive. So when you look at the same DNA and you look at it from above, recognize this picture. This is what you will see in all sacred mandalas, in all sacred texts, in sacred yantras. It is basically, and also, I haven't brought in the crop circles because crop circles is going down a completely different path. But if you look at all the crop circles, and I must thank Stan for the crop circle introduction to Sue, because her videos and her images are something unbelievable. You will find various aspects of this design in the crop circles, if you look at them. So the Russian biophysicist, you know, when he taken the molecular biology to unseen frontiers by examining the vibrational behavior of DNA, and in his book, he states that the living chromosomes function like solenotic scalar holographic computers using endogenous DNA laser radiation. It's a bit of a deep dive into deep science when you go through his books, the language, because it's a literal translation from the way the Russians write. But if one sifts through it, there is a fund of information there. And it is superior in many ways to the artificial computer that we are all dealing with. An even more startling claim about the DNA is researchers think that if humans with full individuality would regain group consciousness, they would have godlike power to create, alter, and shape things on Earth. And out of Germany comes an equally mind-boggling work on DNA. And because you see, DNA is the fundamental construct that as human beings in this body we need to be looking at. His work with studying of how DNA of living cells stores and releases photons, he comes to the conclusion that we now know today that man is essentially a being of light. But from the work done by Pop, he keyed the term biophotons to differentiate the astounding implications of ordinary light versus biophotonic light, with others called higher dimensional light. We scientists do not yet have the instruments or the vocabulary or the equations to deal with it, but it is round the corner and it will happen in years to come. So not only does living DNA communicate with the other DNA in the body, with these biophotons, it also has the capability of communicating to other bodies and even other life forms. So that is why when you stand next to a plant, or when you communicate from your heart to other life forms, the communication happens and it's instantaneous. We have been made to believe that we cannot communicate, we are incapable of communicating. We have been taught that the ears are the only form of hearing and listening. I just want to digress a bit. There is a huge body of work of the super children of China who managed to read through different parts of their body books at speed. They don't need to use their eyes to read the book. They touch their book, they put it on their knees, they put it on their ears, they put it at the back of their head, and they've read books. So this is a field, and there's a lot of work, a lot of collaboration between Chinese scientists and Russian scientists on this, but that's a different story. So let's come to the heart. Yes, it is a radiating instrument. It's not just a pump. It's an instrument that has the capacity to radiate. And that's what we're going to see and explore. And sorry, guys, the heart in the current condition is both blue and red. I couldn't resist this image given the current debate that's going on in USA, but the heart is both blue and red. And I'd like to also look at understanding blood. I need to go back. If you look at the shape of a blood cell, perfect donut economics, if you ask me. And that's again another deep dive topic to understand how this particular shape, this is the shape of the universe too. This is the shape that repeats itself again and again through creation. And the other thing about the blood is, ideally, I would have loved to have been full of chlorophyll, then we just didn't have to bother with cooking and processing food. We could just stand in the sun and make our own food through photosynthesis. But there is a reason why we have iron in our blood, because it is that element that helps carry the magnetic field into the body. Otherwise, if you see, these two molecules are exactly similar. There's not a single bond or a single element that is different except for iron. And the reason is, this was made so that this entity could make its own food and nutrition and sustenance and carry on its life. This was made because this entity needs to be more than just itself and needs to take life to a next level of evolution. So we have the 3D construct, and now we have the 5D construct. Consciousness, in I don't care what type of consciousness and what type of meditation people are talking about. The moment you use the word consciousness, you're talking about mind energy. You're talking about an electrical system, which is 3D. When you talk about heart and soul energy, it is a magnetic, it is light energy, plus something else. We still don't know. And that something else is going to emerge in the years to come. But that will only happen when we hit critical mass of the human population that will be in 5D, will move out of 3D. And the thing that you have to see here about the difference between the consciousness movement, and you know, when one of the things that always struck me was Where have all these people suddenly emerged out of the woodwork talking about the mind, the consciousness, the thinking in the mind, and manifesting from the mind, and reordering your life from the mind, and healing yourself, and setting aside all your past trauma from the mind? And I wondered, where has this suddenly come out of it? I realized that this was happening because of the control and the dependence mechanism that needs to be used by the powers that be. And one way they do it is by putting this out into the forefront. And it is a narrative, I'm sorry guys, it is a narrative to enslave the human race. It is a narrative that has been created by two segments of creation, one which is called the service to self, and the other segment of creation which is called the service to others. And the service to self can only function through enslavement. And when they found a lot of people were feeling discomfort about the way things were, people wanted to change, people were awakening, there was such a fear in this group of people on this planet that they realized is, let's play the game the way they want to listen to it. So let's create the consciousness movement and make consciousness a big thing. Even in the scriptures, especially the Upanishads and the Vedic scriptures, it talks about the heart and soul energy, and it talks about the mind energy. But unfortunately, all the gurus who are, spewing these scriptures are silent about the heart energy mentioned in the scriptures. And that is why this shift, this understanding at this point of time is so important, especially for a group like this, which is full of light workers. Also understand that when you are talking of heart and soul energy, its sole objective is to empower you. It is not the narrative. If you listen to, if you listen to the narrative, you listen to the words, you listen very carefully and decipher the language that is used, you will find that somewhere in that narrative is an element of enslavement. But when you use the narrative from the heart, from the 5D energy, from the heart soul energy, you listen to the words that people who propound this and are trying to spread this around the world, it will always be about empowerment. It will always be about you having the capacity to be the infinite potential you that you're capable of being. So the 3D construct, this is the star tetrahedron, which is the Merkaba, which is the body's energy. And this chakra system is nothing but a representation of this system. And if you see these geometrical figures at each point, this is, if you look down from the top of a star tetrahedron and rotate it, at different places, if you isolate the image at this point, when you look it from the top, this is the structure you will get. When you look at this point, this is the structure you'll get. So basically, these are the same thing. And this, to a lot of you, is the mandala, is what is the Sri Yantra. And this is being, there's a huge industry that has emerged out of this Sri Yantra business. It is not, it is just a two-dimensional representation of the Merkaba, of the electrical energy body. Please understand, this is a 3D construct of the body. It's not wrong. It's just that it is only the 3D construct. So what does the 3D, have I gone? Yeah. Okay, what does the 3D versus 5D look like? The 3D is always linear, and this is the maximum that it will come out to. So when you are working with your chakra energies, you're working within this sphere. That's about all. Because you're working on a linear construct, you're working on an electrical construct, and an electrical construct has very limited range and limited capacity. But when you work from 5D energy, you're working on a sphere that is so much wider, that connects with other spheres. So what is the difference between 3D and 5D? And I can tell you, when they talk about parallel universes, basically this is what it is. There is a part of this population that is only sequestered here, and there is a part that is here. Now, the 3D is mind logic, it is outer conscious level, it is ego, fear, and domination, it relies on sacred geometry, its focus is on the physical structure. And the 3D construct, when you hear people from the 3D construct point of view, they're always trying to prove a point. They're always trying to explain to you and convince you and convert you to their point of view that is the right thing and that is the way to do it and this is the only thing that will work. It's also based on information and knowledge, and yes, you can have personal transformation. But the moment you stop working that 3D construct, there's every possibility of what you have transformed reverting back. And there is every possibility of that personal transformation being limited. Also, the 3D construct comes with a negative and a positive. So a lot of manifestation in the physical form, like, I need more money, I need more success, I need better relationships, or whatever is the I need, the need comes from, will always come with the negative behind it. So when you are constructing from the 3D construct, it's not that it's not possible, it is possible. I'm not saying it's wrong, it is there. It's a point of view you have to appreciate. Is that always remember that when the chips are down, the other side is going to come in front of you. And whatever was negative that caused it, you can have fantastic success. You can also have stress at the other end of the spectrum. So, this is something that one can go on and on. But when you are in the 5D, you're basically defying all forms of mental logic. You're looking at heart feeling. It is an experiential level, which is why it is so difficult to describe. Sometimes the vocabulary to describe an inner experiential level is very inadequate. It generates, and its source is love, gratitude, and compassion. And these are actually the three most powerful energies in the universe, which creates the universe, which keeps it sustained and prevents it from falling off the deep end. And when you are here, you have a sacred knowing experience. You know the point, you don't need to prove the point, and you get a level of wisdom because of the experience, and you're able to apply it with wisdom. And also, this is where miracles happen, and global change happens from the 5D. One of the reasons why I have I keep saying this, that until and unless you move out of the heart into out of the mind into the heart, go into the 5D construct energy fields, we will not be able to bring about change at a global level. And you have to accept this. We can keep working as hard as we want. We can push up the hill as much as we want. We can add our numbers to not make the shift. So why now? What is so important now, and why was it such an urgency for me to communicate this information to all of you? Humanity is at a crossroad in our evolution cycle, but we have a choice. We have a choice to awaken and embrace love as a conscious co-creators here on Earth. We also have the choice to release the pain of separation and fear. We have to release it. Each and every one of us holds the key to quantum shift of Earth, and we make the choice to awaken and be active participants in this shift, both individually and collectively. We see beyond the program of social, political, and religious frameworks, which is why I repeatedly keep saying, don't fall for the narrative that is being said, either for the blue or for the red, I don't care. Don't fall for that narrative. That narrative is being continued to be created to keep you engaged and keep you from focusing on what you need to focus on. It is built on fear and empowered to step outside of the program of limitation. So when you see beyond, you step outside, you co-create a new world beyond our foundation, based on foundations of love, compassion, sovereignty, because each one of you has a sovereign right as an individual. You're not dependent. So I'd like to go into the cosmology of the why now. This is the galactic plane. This is the Milky Way. This is our lovely blue planet. This is the galactic plane, and this is the galactic center, right? Now, what happens is we are moving into an alignment where these four elements, can I push this up? Yeah. Yeah, where the solar system, the center of the solar system, the center of the Earth, the alicon, the Sirius, and the galactic center all fall into alignment. And this doesn't happen very often. Oops. Yeah. So the quantum DNA-Heart-Torus-Toroid-WaveX field as our wave of X, right down to the trillion cells within our body are being bathed in this electromagnetic frequency that is emerging out of this alignment. Our DNA is awakening to be evolved to an evolved state of expression. And the reason is that we can anchor this fifth dimensional light within our physical states of beingness without exploding, without becoming another alien on the planet. Excuse me. Now, this is the scope of fear. That's all it is capable of. And when you activate your LoveX energy that is coming through, this is what is going to happen. Now, what basically happens is the electromagnetic cosmic emission waves of love are pulsing the toroidal field energy that surrounds our heart to beat in unison with the heart of the Earth and to beat in unison with the galactic heart and the galactic core. Through this one heart, we move beyond the limitations of our perceived separateness, and we embrace the love, the joy, the beauty of one humanity evolving into an enlightened new world. This is not woo-woo, love all, peace be on earth, you know, the hippie generation of which I was very much a part of. This is not that. This is hardcore scientific reasoning as to why it is happening. And let me tell you, if we don't do it, Gaia is going to shift the moment the alignment happens. Either we go with her on this journey and move to the next level, or she's just going to spit us out. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. So this was again a scientific controlled experiment that was conducted by German researchers, and that they found that the photonic waves that are generated by love is 5,000 times more than the average human being is capable of generating in a normal time. So we are at the right moment in time to understand this from a scientific perspective, from a belief system perspective, and from an intellectual knowing perspective, and embrace it and move forward with it. And also that we can literally, you can literally change matter. You can heal disease and transform negative events. You can actually shift. So Kurt, when you're talking about a Department of Peace and you're talking about nuclear disarmament, it's not going to happen unless you move this energy, because it is capable, it is totally capable of creating tectonic waves and bringing the shift and transforming a negative event. You know, when I say this, it sounds, and for me, for a long time, it sounded like, oh, this is all good woo-woo stuff. This is ski-fee stuff. This is, you know, End Game, the Avengers, Marvel, and all that. Actually, there's a lot of truth in what they showed there. The best way to discredit information is to make it into a fiction movie. So 19th December, excuse me, this is what the galactic alignment is going to be. And for those of you who do understand astrology, this galactic alignment has been put into the on base of an astrological chart. And guess what? In the tetrahedron of creation, good old Earth is there in the middle of it. You know, we are a fractal. Whatever is in the microcosm is the macrocosm, is the microcosm, is the cell, is the atom. It's as simple as that. And when you're talking about the solar and Jupiter alignment that is happening now in Aquarius, now understand this. Astrologically, this happens every 20 years, but in cycles of 200 years. So till now, this was happening for 200 years in the constellation of Capricorn. Now it is moving out and coming into another constellation. It is coming into the air signs. And when this every 20 years, and this is going to be a nice joyride for 200 years, when every 20 years this alignment happens in an air sign, oh boy, are we going to see interesting things around us. So again, let me put this in perspective. It's not a linear image. You have to understand that the Earth is not going like we tend to show our children, because we don't have 3D modeling in textbooks. This is the galactic center, this is the sun, and this is what happens. Of course, this image has been done for the southern hemisphere, so this says summer solstice, but the same thing applies in the northern hemisphere. This would be the winter solstice, right? And what happens on 21st of December, starting from the 19th, the shift begins to happen. You know, I mean, galactic events don't happen like this. They take a bit of time on Earth, on an Earth plane. So on the 21st of December, this entire alignment is going to happen. And my question is, you're going to feel different things happening in your body. Please don't go running to the doctor. Honestly, sit, stay quiet, stay silent, and connect to the energy, because it's going to be really, really powerful. I cannot say what's going to happen, how it's going to feel. I just hope my heartbeat stays normal. With the tachycardia I've been going through in the last 5 days, I just hope it stays stable. But it is a time, and I have always believed knowledge is power. So when you know about something, it at least helps you deal with it when it's thrown at you as a curved ball. So if you look at this, this is one perspective. I'm going to also share with you another perspective that is similar. The Mayan calendar, I'm not going to go into because a lot of people know about it. So this is what it is. And, you know, this is the Aquarius, this is Leo, and this is a 2000-year cycle of the light in the photon belt. This 11,000 years of darkness is not all darkness. It goes through different stages, and it is not a circle, by the way. It is an ellipse. So the furthest away you are, we have had the darkest ages on this planet. But for convenience, it has always been shown as a circle. But like I explained to you in this, it's a 3D. It doesn't look this way, but this is a simplified explanation of it. So we are moving through the next 26,000 year cycle where we were going through this alignment in the universe. Now, if I was to show you the donut shape, and this is only one part of the picture, I couldn't find an image that actually brings in the galactic center and everything. This is only with reference to the system of awaken. And the solar system, we are here. So what happens is, as we move into this toroidal field, and the reason why the energies are able to come through a gateway, a cosmic gateway, is because of the toroidal structure of the universe. So when it comes through, we are in the 2000 years of peace and harmony that has been prophesied. This is one of the reasons behind it. I'd like to take you, with due respects to my guru in Indian tradition, whenever you see your guru's image or a photograph, you always go. He was the guru of one of my gurus, and therefore I would prefer to refer to him directly. He, in his book, and this is not what he brought out as an image, this is the Ananda faction of the Sri Yuktesh, one of the students of Paramahansa Yogananda, who started the Ananda group. They have come up with this image. But it pretty much explains what you find in the scriptures from a timeline perspective. I must give you a rider here that I'm in talk with a lot of researchers over this 6-7 BC and 3100 BC and 700 BC. I'm just going with this, but there's a lot of revision that is taking place. These timelines are going to be rewritten, because the moment they all agree to the methodology of the calculation, then we will have an answer. At the present moment, they are fighting and arguing over how to arrive at a calculation. So once they agree on that, then we will have a slightly more reliable calculation of the timelines. But for the time being, I'm just going on this. Okay, so this could change as the days go by. The interesting thing to understand here is 700 BC or CE, BCE, 500 BCE, Gautam Buddha emerges. 0 BCE, Christ emerges. 500 AD, Prophet Muhammad emerges. So whenever there is the likelihood of something going to go very wrong, all the powers that be do make an effort to send in an object, a messenger, a message, or some system to bring in some sort of semblance. And this is what I believe is the unconditional love the Creator has for humanity. We are not left alone to flounder in the dark. It's a different story that the messages that they brought in have been distorted and used as have been weaponized, I will bluntly say this, and been used as an element to serve their service to self factions of creation. But also, if you see that the maximum turmoil happens in the transition periods, and you all know that transition is more difficult than either side of the fence. So these messiahs or prophets or great seers or masters, and there are many, there are more than 21 of them. I've just chosen the most commonly appreciated ones out here, is that they have all emerged at the peak transition periods. The other thing is Kali Yuga ended here and the transition period started. So we had discovery of electricity here, and we have discovery of electronics in the 1900s. Magnetism in a completely different form than what we know it, electromagnetic resonance, wireless energy transfer, quantum physics and electrodynamics, and many, many, many new technologies are going to emerge. But what I was shown in one of my states was that this time it will not be revealed until we clean up our act, until we move into the heart and start doing things in a proper way. Because when the atom was discovered, we went and built an atom bomb. So this time, no. Because any technology, any form of energy that comes in can always be used for good and for bad at the same time. You know, creation doesn't take the choice. We make the choice of using something for good or for bad. And if you see that the entire era of colonization, wars, and inhuman acts happens, and that is why it's called the Kali Yuga, for no other reason. So according to this chart and according to this calculation, we are somewhere here. Okay, I don't want to go into this because that's another big topic to talk about. So it is unconditional love that's going to keep our planet going. And to quote Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, he says that someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then for a second time in history of the world, man will have discovered fire. So why do we need to move into the heart meditation? Well, I'm not saying it's the only way. It was a way that was revealed to me. And I always say it's not my meditation. It's a form of meditation that was shown to me. And I was told that, look, now this is what you have to go and share and help people get through. Now, okay, what happened? So if you actually, I wanted to go back to this. I don't know what's happened to, you know, if you superimpose the electromagnetic field of the body onto the magnetic field of the earth and synchronize it, you will actually see magic happening. So it is individuals, and you cannot do this collectively until a critical mass of individuals actually manage to do it. You don't have to do it at the same time. If you do it at the same time at a given time in history or at a given cosmological time, it will just amplify with the waves that are coming in through the cosmos. That's all. It's not that this is the only way to do it. But if we create the critical mass, we can shift and bring in healing to the earth. The interesting thing is that the entire new generation that is born after 2000, without an exception, all have the number 2 in their karmic frequency. This is the number of empathy, sensitivity, compassion, and heartfulness. So basically, it is us who are in the 1900s that need to get our act cleaned up. We clean up our act, we create the energy waves, this generation will just pick it up like that. You know, so we need to move into this. And just to let you know, if any of you want to go there, or you have people whom you would like to send there who are not going to listen to you, I have these 6 programs that are available. Each one is 18 weeks, 20 weeks of time in terms of the deep diving into the methodology, the system. And once they enroll and take any of these programs, they have it with them for life. That's it. So healing the planet and establishing peace on earth through unconditional love, unconditional gratitude, and unconditional compassion. And when we energize the earth's magnetic field, and when we restore the field of the divine heart energy of the earth and us, it's not climate change that's going to destroy the earth or that has been destroying the earth. Sorry, guys. It is there is enough of scientific evidence to prove that it is the negative energies, because climate change cannot increase the Schumann's resonance of the earth. The Schumann's frequency is now somewhere in the 30s. And believe you me, the day it goes to 50, it's game over. And the reason why Earth, Gaia, she's very sick. She's not sick because of climate change. She's not sick because of environmental degradation. Let me tell you that. She's sick because we are creating the wrong energies. And there's so much of negative energy being created that it's affecting her. And to adjust to that, she's going on increasing the Schumann's resonance and the Schumann's frequency. There are sites that are actually monitoring the Schumann's frequency. You can go and have a look at them. So if you want to heal the earth, we have to move out of the frequencies we are in. And working from the mind, working from the consciousness, activating the chakras, not going to get the job done, guys. It's the heart energy that's going to make it happen. So, and this is the reason why on 21st of December, and let me tell you, I don't do this. It's not me. I don't have a choice, because whenever like yesterday, Claire was saying, whenever I fight it and say, no, this is too much of work, I get a kick in the butt. And again, I have something happening. My heart palpitations go up and all kinds of funny things happen to me. So then I've just now learned, okay, it's going to be a losing battle if I resist. So 21st of December, 8 a.m. till 8:30 a.m., 8:37 a.m., in whichever time zone. Join in, add your heart, because on this day, the energies coming through are simply going to be unbelievable. And it will make life easier for us. We won't have to put in so much of effort. You know, it's like getting that booster switch to a racing car engine that just gives that additional push. And that's what this galactic alignment is going to do for us. So I'm going to come back to the 4 questions. Now there's a 4th one. Who am I? Who are you? You are a divine being. No doubt about it. Where have you come from? Sorry, mommy and daddy. I've come from source. I've come through many dimensions, and you've come through many incarnations. When I say I mean you. I like Shannon's approach. The I and me is the I in you. Why am I here now? To experience, be part of, and help in this amazing transition and this time of creation. because you are going to be creating a new earth for the next 2000 years, then which will fall into the cyclic pattern. Where are we headed? And you know, when I was looking at this word we, and I was looking at good of the whole, and I suddenly realized, my God, we stands for whole earth. And peace on earth is what? You just move the heart around to the back and it becomes earth. And very often a lot of messages are, you know, that's another science, you know, making anagrams out of words and trying to get what is called a secret meaning or mystic meaning that is hidden in words. That we are here to bring about a whole earth, to bring about peace on earth, and to help earth in ascending to the 5th dimension. And we have a choice, either we go on that ride or we stay behind. Because it can't be, I'll do a bit of that and a bit of this. It's not going to happen that way. Sorry, guys. So that's it from me. Thank you. Now I invite you to activate your divine heart and reclaim your divinity. I need to stop.
That was absolutely stunning, Malini. Thank you so much. What a gift. Thank you. I will certainly be there with you. And I invite all of us that would want to perhaps be with you on Chat People. We could perhaps be on this channel, Stan. That would be a tremendous blessing.
You're not with me, you're with yourself and the
Yes.
cosmos.
True.
I'm just a small, not even a small cell. I'm a part of a cell in this whole journey.
You know,
All right. If we're talking
Melanie,
about what
just-
Malini is doing on the 21st, it's not going to be on this particular number. It's Malini has her own that I've created for her. It utilizes my account, but it's the what do we call it? I've forgotten.
Divine heart. It's something,
yeah, something like
heart.
that.
Yeah.
The global meditation something.
That was Stanley
And,
created
we'll
that for me in September. So beautiful.
Yeah, and
Thank
so
you, Stan.
we'll send that information around.
I should tell you guys, I will not be doing that meditation 24 times. My physical heart will not be able to take it. But I will do it once in a trance, record it, and put it out there. I did try doing it 3 times and oof.
Yeah.
Daniel will appreciate. There's only that much you can take this physical meat suit through.
So Melanie, I wanted just to thank you because first of all, this resonates with all of the teachings that I've done with the Brahma Kumaris and our re-ignition into the 5th dimension and that vibrational path. So that's the first thing I want to say. That's it resonates with all of the teachings, not the ideology of that particular group, but definitely the notion of how the earth plane has been developed and where we're heading next. I also want to really resonate with the fact that the work that I do with chakras are as portals into a holographic universe. They're not the linear system. So to your point, the use of them has been historically in a body 3 dimension. But my work is all about the holographic, wider cosmic level. And so it's it really resonated with me and informed me about some of my graphic use to put what is there in its crafting into the language and diagrams. So it's truly holographic and much wider in a cosmic field than what we normally think of them as. And the last one is how in the movement into that 5th dimension, that it comes from a resonance that starts in the heart, but it actually radiates, as you say, as you show it, in a much more cosmic fashion. And so it just clarifies for me how the activations can come back into the center to come out from the heart. And so that was really helpful for me as well. So thank you.
I would like you all to go and listen to this Thursday's meditation. Once it's on YouTube, I'll put it in. Otherwise, I've sent the link, because something really different happened this Thursday, and I have to go. Because I don't know what I'm saying when I'm in that state. I usually go back and listen to the words when I play the recording. But that particular Thursday's meditation, Kate was there and Tony was there. Something different happened, and both Kate and Tony are there with me almost every Thursday for the last 6 months. But this Thursday, something completely different happened. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. And sometime I would like to take you offline over the chakra system as the holographic field sometime.
The other thing is Kurt and I have been saying all along that the peace quest that we're on is around uncovering the new frequency. So it's everything that you've said today is where we currently find ourselves in the exploration of what Peace Week is about. So it really was in alignment with that too. So wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also really appreciated how you wove together the Mayan calendar, the astrology, the heart math intelligence research, bringing together the old masters and teachings into the present. Just a beautiful weaving. And thank you so much for sharing your understanding of that.
It was a beautiful presentation, Millennia. I was not shocked, as I put in the chat. My work is about cleaning my, besides Ideas Gateway and the work I'm doing there, but is to clean thought forms and breaking Akka chords, but always staying in the heart, and that everything is sacred. And as it comes to me, I get to clean and move things in the environment so that I stay in that area of the heart. And from my teacher of 26 years was always about the sacred, about being in the heart, and about cleaning up what comes to you. So, it's not about guilt, and I can't explain all the things that come to me and what it is, but I know enough to do the work, and it cleans up the Akka chords in the environment. So thank you.
Welcome. It's not important to explain every experience.
No.
It is an experience, because that same experience will not be the same when you repeat it at another time. Mm-hmm. And which is why there was a time when, everybody wants to write a book, and I was planning to write 3 of them. And then I decided against it. I said, no, the moment I put words to it, I am confining it into my experience. And I just need people to have the experience and take it from there and make it their own and own it up. Own it as their own in whatever way. There's never any judgment in this.
South Dakota Kate would just like to jump in. I have such an appreciation for the way you show your brilliance in just such a downhearted, open way. It's just remarkable. I thank you for that. And I don't know, I could just relate it to everything that was said and the comments made about it. That and Doreen, I just feel like you encompass, and when we get to the place that is our only job to do, it's just to clear in the moment that, I don't know, it just feels so resonant with me. But as you were talking about the shifting to the facts, I thought, yeah, it's just such a alphabet soup of conversations. And I think David said, yeah, we're not solving this with the mind. If the economic model was the answer, we wouldn't be homeless and hungry. And so I think that we are disarming this current mindset just infusing this new, and thank you for not writing the book. Thank you for living the book. Because it's, I mean, I love all the books, and you say that becomes part of our knowing. But when we live our books together, that's when the new story is really feels like it's emerging. But you said one thing that I was perplexed when you talked about the mantras and the external, you know, looking at external. But I thought that the voice would be an internal tool. That the voice, I think you said something. It was an out extend device, and I don't know. I didn't quite get that.
Okay. Yeah, because you know, a lot of the yogic practices, particularly in Kriya Yoga, use certain postures, use certain devices, use certain mantras, and a mantra, when it is expressed verbally into the sound and returns to you as a device. And it has sound has always been used as a frequency modulation weapon. You know,
whereas if we're just allowing that sound to come through us naturally, that's
you know,
a different
Kate,
type
let
of
me
device.
it's not, the sound doesn't need to come through. There is a difference between sound that is heard by the ear and felt in the bones, because you know, there is a practice we do in Kriya Yoga, which is called the Brahmara, you know, where you say Om and you close all your chapters and just allow your cranium to reverberate with that sound. And even when Om is said, it is said in a the way people say it is actually not the correct way. There is a way to say it. I can no longer say it, because the moment I say it, I go into discord, because you know, once you move out of that 3D construct and move into 5D construct, and then you try using a 3D tool to work it, all hell breaks loose. But what happens is, when you use sound in any form, whether it is silent or whether you just hum it, it is a device. When you're in a frequency that the 5D frequency is in, sound is not a component of that, which is why the physical world needs sound for being made. You know, there's a beautiful experiment that is done in cymatics with a group of iron filings, which is iron filings are put on a table, and at one end of the table, frequencies are given to the table, and the iron filings get up and walk and then form a mountain. You know, so I mean, that is that science. So that is that level of energy that is used to bring matter together and to create matter, which is why in the chakras, each chakra is, I also have I've had lots of arguments with my guru. I was very fortunate to have a guru who was open enough and didn't tell me, I'm your guru, you can't question me, how dare you go stand out of the class. That was usually what happened to me most of the time. But this guy actually appreciated the questions I asked. And then he said, I'm sorry, I don't have answers. You go find them. You know, which was probably the best gift he gave me. And I went through all sorts of things. Leslie, I was with the Brahma Kumaris for 3 years. So I've been through the entire universe of all isms, all sects, all trainings. And finally, I had to be knocked down, flattened on bed to finally get it right. But then that's also a gift, you know. So you do need to use external devices. Some people use, and I used to be stupid enough that I used to learn this thing, and I would go and make a gadget to make it popular amongst the public. I love inventing and making things. No. That's not what's needed, because it's not going to work. You know, it's like trying to start a Ferrari car with a motorcycle key. You know, you can't start a Ferrari with a motorcycle key. You might start a Ferrari with another Ferrari key, but you need a Ferrari key to start a Ferrari car. And that's really what we need to appreciate, when we need to stop doing. I know we've all learned those techniques and those methods, and we've believed in them, we've invested in them. We need to move out of that, because it's not going to cut it, not this time. Maybe next time around we can go back to it. Hopefully no next time around. I hope that answered your question, Kate.
It gives me a lot to think
Molly,
about.
I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
Oh, no worries, dude. Well, I just kind of, if you could maybe take me to aqua chords now, that was such a fascinating concept for me that helped me tune in more to the aqua chord. And then I guess while I have the mic, I just want to say, Leo, those questions that, and I understand it was thrown out from somebody else who comes in that I just hadn't met yet. But just that entire question process has been so wonderful.
Okay, let me look at the chat later on and get back to you on it, Kate. Yeah, David, sorry.
Kate, I just don't want you to get confused with Milani's. I mentioned the aqua chords, and it's something that I work with.
Yeah.
And it's not what Milani is, I guess, in some form she's talked about, but for me, it's thought forms that come in, and it's about cleaning them so that it breaks the tie of the negativity in the environment and cleaning up the environment. That's something that I'm doing, and it's from the heart, and I don't have any connection to it, any guilt to it. It comes, I clean it, and it goes, and I know that I'm doing my work, and that I'm to do at least today. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but that's where I am today, is cleaning up what comes to me in my inner child to deal with in the moment, so that I can clean and move forward in a clean space. I hope that helps.
You know, Doreen, there are no right and wrong in this, because using the car example, we are all different models of cars, and we all go from 0 to 50, some in 3 seconds, some in 5 seconds, some in 15 seconds, some take longer than that. So it's just that at whichever point of time you are in, at whichever state of resonant field you are in, you have to use that, you know. Yeah, David.
Thanks, Melanie, for a wonderful presentation. I loved it, and it resonated a lot with some of my experiences. But I wanted to, I've been reading, actually listening to an audio book by Kim Stanley Robinson, who's a writer, and he wrote a book about, he's written several novels about climate change. Dealing with it. The latest one that I'm reading is called The Ministry of the Future. And the ministry, by the way, was led by a woman. And they finally got together and did enough things to reverse the impacts of uncontrolled climate change in the novel. And so they had a global celebration of where everybody got together just to celebrate, and it was global in scope, and that's what you're talking about for coming up, and I think that's very, very important. I urge everyone to participate. We seem to be at a, as you said, it's a very important point of heart, of coalescing of heart consciousness, and that I don't certainly, and so I think it's very, very important. I wasn't quite sure about the timing in your slide that you gave. Could you talk a little bit more about that, because I want to be sure to be able to participate, and I would urge everyone else to do that too. Lord knows the trying to fix all of this through mind consciousness and the linear thinking, that's simply not working. I mean, it's been clear for years, and so anyway, if you could speak a little bit more about the getting together.
You know, anybody who's been in mind consciousness, don't beat yourself up, because I've been there. till I was flattened and told to look the other way. So I've been there, and I wouldn't have I'd gone and looked at and accumulated so much of background information if it wasn't for that mind wanting its candy, you know. So I mean, that's okay. Okay, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to start at UTC plus 12, which is the easternmost time zone on this planet. And it will be at UTC plus 12 at 8 a.m. in their time zone. I will start. And then an hour later, I will move to plus 11, plus 10, plus 9. So every hour on the hour, you can access it. So if you, my request is, if you have friends and people in any part of the world, just tell them to plug in. Give them the, I will once Stan and I work, I get the invite, we go out and I copy the invite link and we'll put it in the email, and I need to put it on various other forums and Facebook pages. So it really doesn't matter if you're not, if 8 o'clock even in your time zone, if 8 o'clock doesn't work for you, just wait for another hour or go an hour before. Because it will be running on the hour at 8 a.m. in every time zone. Have I explained it in some way, David?
Yes. I wasn't clear about how you were going to repeat that. And will you do a heart meditation at one of those, or
only the heart meditation? No lecture, only the heart meditation.
Yes. All right. And but you said that makes you very tired. Will you be able to do that on the hour?
I will record it and I will play the recording every hour.
I see.
So the first recording I would do, because I would do a recording. The first I would do live, because you know, when you are in that space, the alignment that happens and the cosmic field that opens up, and the words that come through are out of my control. Oh yes, it's an unbelievable experience. And you can find all the meditations do pretty much the same thing. David, all the meditations do pretty much the same thing. But for some reason, every Thursday, the energy shifts. I don't know why. Sorry, go ahead.
I would like to catch your first one there, your live one, if there's going to be a live meditation.
Yes.
So will that be at 8 a.m.
plus
on
UTC
the 21st?
plus no. You'll have to check. If you go in UTC plus 12, which is probably Fiji or Samoa, one of those islands, which is in the plus UTC plus 12 time zone. So if you go into the time calculator and select that city, and then select your city, it will tell you what is the time in your city.
Very, very good. And so your first one starting then will be live, and then you'll do recordings on the hour.
Yeah. I'll be playing that recordings approximately. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. It's wonderful. I particularly enjoyed your notion, you're bringing up the Star of David, and then the tetrahedron, and I had drawn some mandalas that made use of the Star of David, in fact, but with many overlaps, and I've got a picture of that. I'll try to post it. Fascinating discussion. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Melanie, it was wonderful to hear your connection to Yukteswar, because he's special to me as well. So that was neat. And it was nice to see the graphics that you did. It's really hard to read the book.
Yes.
It's much better to see the graphic. It really helps with the understanding. So that was really good. The question I have for you, though, is a lot of this is really aimed at people who have been around a bit, who've had more than one life, who have spent their life developing. So what about the young souls that are here? How do we manage to bring them along? because a lot of them are not in this space at all.
Okay. First disclaimer, I have not been here before. This was a rude shock I got when I had my palm leaves
Doesn't
read.
matter.
And I've also been told this is the only lifetime that you bloody well get it right. No excuses, no second chances. The young ones, if we create the right energy, will come in automatically. I'm not worried about the ones who are born after 2000. It's all the 1990 crowd, you know, the 1900s in their date of birth time, which need to make that shift. The ones who are in the 2000 will just fall in once the energy moves. That's how it is. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that's how I'm being told it is. And I don't see any reason to doubt that, because, you know, when you look at all the the numerology calculations that different people do, different systems of numerology do, whether it's the Egyptian, whether it's the Mayan, whether it's the Chinese, whether it's the Indian, whether it's the Pythagorean system, at least they are in agreement over the energy values of the numbers 1 to 9. So there's no discord on that. They have different issues over how they calculate it. So I'm just taking that one fundamental principle that kids with 2 in their life numbers, we are in a good place. You know, Kate, Catherine, I'd like to talk about this. Particularly, you will appreciate this when you talk to someone from the East about enlightenment and why someone finds it easy. And the answer they give you is, oh, you know, this is sanchita karma. This is karma of the past generations. You must have done something good. Quite honestly, that narrative is BS. Honestly. You may come here and incarnate to learn certain lessons and to have some experiences. And if any of you haven't read Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, I would recommend you read it. It completely brings, and you know, this is a guy who had no vested interest in writing what he wrote. He didn't have a choice. He was kicked right royally in the butt and told and given this download, and he had to do it. He didn't have a choice. And when someone comes in with something like that, I would go with it. And he explains this, and I think it's beautiful. Yeah, sorry, Kurt.
He has 4 books, and his last one is really, really good.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Kurt.
Neil has 4 Conversations with God books. And the last one deals with more current things, obviously. And he's done good work. I was with him a good amount of time.
But his first book is really what I would go for. After that, they have all been, you know what happens.
Oh, yeah.
With all revelations. Even the Buddha's first sermon is all that one needs to hear. The rest is all, you know, I mean, one adapts and one expands and goes, and that's good. That's good. It's needed. There's no right or wrong about it.
The nice thing is that you're writing.
Sorry, guys, I can't just follow the chat. I think, Leslie, next time we need to have what is called a chat manager who manages.
I think I can do it right in this moment, Melanie. So just hold on, I'll do that. And just let's just we can talk with Kurt at the moment, and I'll let you know if there's anything here you need to think about. Okay.
Okay.
The nice
Thanks.
thing about our book is that we're writing it together.
Yes.
And the force is with us because we are the force. And when we get to be able to experience the incredible power before we're fully understanding it, because Lord knows my feeling today was just out of this world with your presentation, because it put me into that space. And right now we get to be able to bring that space along so that when it gets to be the 21st, it's even going to be kickstarted a lot better because we've super generated our connection.
That's the beauty of divine design. You know,
Yes.
I've been wanting to do this from September, but no, it was not the right. And I didn't even have the date of 21st December in September. And then I get told, no, this week, you can't wait. Okay. At your service, whatever you say. You know, it's such a liberating feeling not to be in charge, to just hand over and just follow instructions.
So most of this is, there's a lot of just great recognition, Melanie, for what you've done and how it's been weaving into people's awareness. Commentary here about the fact that that we need a healthy mind in order to even embrace this information. And so, I mean, I appreciate that's what you're negating. I'm just saying that's what's emerging. And I think that also there's a bit of confusion here about, we've got the link to your heart meditation, but then we've got Julie posting a bunch of time zones. So I think that we just need some alignment around what the heart meditation link is and what Julie's entry here is in terms of time zones. So if we could get that alignment, and then you can take off from there in terms of your response, Melanie.
So Stan, would you be able to call up the invite link, or?
Yeah, he posted it.
That's there. So we've
Okay,
got the
that's it.
invite link, but we've now, so then we've got some time zones here that I'm just trying to understand why they're in the link.
Well, Julie, my understanding is that Julie put those in the link so people could see the cities. So if you want to be there at that particular time, then you can Google that city's time and compare it to where you are, and you'll know when to be there at that time.
Got it. Okay.
You know, if you work out the first city and the time to your time, then just keep moving 1 hour forward. You know, it automatically will roll. And the reason why, and thank you so much for doing this, Julie, the reason why is in the time zone calendar, if you put, suppose you put UTC plus 12, or you put a state, or you put a country, it doesn't show you. You have to actually put a specific city,
Yes.
and then put your city, and then it comes up.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Julie, go ahead.
Oh, it's just the date. So in the invite, there's no date. And I heard Stoney, I think, say the 21st, but I don't know what month.
21st of December, but you'll have to see what 21st of December in UTC plus no. What does UTC plus 13, because that will be the starting point. You know, and as the earth rotates and the sun moves and the day moves forward. So
we have to figure out our date, see that clearly?
Yeah.
For, I don't know. I get confused.
Or the best thing would be take 8 a.m. in your time, 8 a.m., not 8:30, sorry, 8 a.m. in your time, and move back and forward an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours up and down from there. And don't worry about the other UTC times.
Yeah, because I missed it. When I tried to make your last one, I missed the entire thing.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Anyway, so the date, we just have to figure out the date for us relative to December 21st, UTC plus 12.
Yeah,
somehow.
Otherwise, that is if you want to be in at that time. Otherwise, it will be in your time zone at 8 a.m. anyway. So the question is, do you want to get up a little later, or do you want to get up a little earlier and get on with it? Then you just go 1 hour before and log in, because the Zoom room remains the same. The Zoom room is not going to change. Oof. Sorry, guys, if it was a bit heavy in terms of information.
No.
Good. I'm happy.
It's all. I mean, it resonated with what I have come to understand and appreciate. So it was totally in line. Yeah.
Images are always great, and your images were beautiful, and it just was the right message at the right time. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It was a beautiful synopsis of the work that probably everyone on this Zoom has been doing for decades.
Decades.
And thank you for connecting us at this pinnacle moment, such that none of us miss that opportunity.
Thank you. I'm dying to hear from Daniel.
I thought it was beautiful, and I want to thank you, and you're beautiful.
Oh, that's Daniel.
Yeah, and so it was just lovely, and if you were if you were like a clothes maker, you weaved a beautiful fabric, and I just like to acknowledge that. And so yeah, it was lovely.
I hope I didn't mess up too much on the heart bit, because with you in the room, I was a little concerned as what am I going to say about the heart?
Well, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys know this, but my career was as an electrophysiologist.
Oh.
And so I've done over 10,000 closed chest heart operations and procedures, mostly inside the heart, to treat people with electrical problems with their heart.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, that's my career. And one of the procedures I learned from one of my teachers who grew up as a Buddhist monk. We call him Kunlawi Nadmane. He's actually the physician for the King of Thailand. He was, and blah, blah, blah. And so he just developed a technique where he would cure people with atrial fibrillation. And so I learned the technique, and it was really successful. And then all the doctors around the world couldn't replicate his findings. And so there was a scandal that said that he was a cheater and he made it all up. But I can't speak for my friend, but I can speak for myself that when I would do those procedures, a lot of guys would measure 10 times and cut once. I would just not measure at all, and I'd go into no mind and just do the procedure. And so the other guys couldn't replicate that.
No self-trust. No
because they were, well, it's more than trust. It was in no mind.
You have to go
which
into
is
the heart.
Coherent heart
Right.
energy.
But they don't trust themselves to go there.
Yeah,
No, they
so
don't know how. A lot of it's not a trust also, Catherine.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people don't know how. It's a lot of their training, what they've been taught, what is their social conditioning, their belief system. So it's you know, I have absolute compassion for people who are in that space.
No argument.
Okay, so I think we are a wrap. Oh, we've been here for 2 hours.
Thank you so much. What a blessing.
So thank you,
Namaha.
guys. Om Namoha.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
guess I'm going to
Melanie.
stop the recording now.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Hi, everyone.